Now I can imagine that right now many of you are feeling a lot of varied emotions. I'll tell you more about what happened here during the course of last night just now. But first I'm just going to give you an indication of size so that you know what we're looking at here.
What are you showing there, Peter?
Ticks.
Oh, Peter's saying there's lots of ticks on them. There are no whiskers.
Okay, now like I said, I can fully appreciate, I came here earlier this morning to have a look around and I'm feeling very emotional about this again. So for you that are maybe shocked by this at the moment, maybe surprised, maybe confused even, we'll explain more why and what happened here. But as you could clearly see from the size of and this was one of the Khuma females, and last night a lot of drama happened around here. The reason her belly is so big is obviously she's been dead for at least 12 hours now, probably 18 hours. So she's all bloated. All those ticks that you can see on the skin just now, on the whiskers, on the ears, those have all have been parasites living on her. And of course now that she's dead, those parasites will slowly move away. It's maybe a little bit strange even to think that 24 hours ago this was a beautiful, active, virile lioness. She had cubs. I was looking now, when I was looking up close to the body there, you can still see the mammary glands a little bit swollen. She was suckling. And then things like this sometimes just reminds you that we are, all of us I guess, depending on how you look at it, but most certainly where we are out here at Khuma with WildEarth, we are in a very wild environment. This is not just a park where animals get to live a carefree life. They all live very wild lives, very happy lives I think in the end, because it's all very pure in a way, but it certainly is really, really wild sometimes. I think James will keep showing you different aspects of this. It's a bit of a different subject than what we usually look at, but there's something quite eerie almost looking at a big lioness dead like this. I'll tell you the story briefly, as much as I can summarize it from what I heard from the guys, but later in the morning by myself. Basically, looking at those tracks we saw earlier as well, the Mapogo males came in from the from the western direction, I guess, Mabili direction, west-southwest, came all the way along that road and found these lionesses. Now something else, I'm not quite sure, we might try and go have a look later, but later on this morning when I was sitting here with this lioness, I heard a lot of growling further into very, very thick bush. It took me almost on 3 of the Mapogo males, and they were busy eating the very last remaining bits of skin and meat from a waterbuck. I thought there was a little bit of irony in it this morning before we struggled to transmit. One of the questions was why not so many animals eat waterbuck. In this case they'd killed a big waterbuck bull, but it would have been the Khuma females, the Khuma pride. This female that we're looking at now, or this one, it was a Khuma female, and the rest of the pride would have killed it probably 2 days. Look at that lifeless eye. And they would have killed it, and in that process, that's how the Khumas would have found them. Maybe smelt it, maybe the lionesses roared and they heard it. And this is a little bit reminiscent of the last time we saw a dead cub. You remember I can't remember the exact date, December. Look at those ticks. It was a similar case. If you remember, those of you that joined us on that morning, it was buffalo. No, not a buffalo, giraffe. Sorry, I'm Thinking back to a different thing now. And again, if there's a big carcass and that attracted the Mapogo males, and that then attracted the sort of subsequent violence. Now what happened here from the tracks, and again, the guys saw a bit of it this morning early on. Obviously the Mapogos found them, maybe surprised them a bit on this carcass, and obviously a lot of fighting would have followed from that. They killed at least 2 cubs that they know of. Unfortunately, we can't see any of them. We'll have a look around here just now. This morning, cubs, sorry. My brain is a little bit muddled up sometimes. It's a very strange thing to look at, this dead lioness. But they killed at least 2 cubs that we know of. They killed this lioness. She was probably trying to defend them. And the Mapogo is also carrying quite a few scars. The one male I saw this morning had some big gashes in his face. His eyebrow was cut wide open, his forehead, his legs. So it would have been very, very violent out here. Now what is even more interesting is that this morning earlier when the guys were watching them, the Mapogos continued to eat one of these cubs. Now that's something I've never seen before. I've heard along the grapevine here and there of cases where lions have eaten parts of other lions. I've heard a few interesting stories here and there, but I don't know of any sort of fully documented cases where they showed lions eating other lions. Now this is what happened. It happened literally just here. Unfortunately, there's not much to show now. That many of you will get emotional about. But keep in mind that this is the jungle. This is how it goes, and these guys are the king of the jungle. So there are some violent things sometimes. Yeah, voyam, so it's just my fuzzing gala loot my country, nothing else, but fully involved. Now next as well. But as I was saying, it's very harsh, and we'll speak about it more. I'm sure we'll come past you again maybe tomorrow as well, and talk more about it and emotionally work with it. But keep in mind that's how it works. That these lions are big and dominant, and they will father some incredible offspring. But this is some of the effect that you get with it sometimes. We're going to make some space for Ephraim and them to have a look, and we'll see how we're going to continue. Guys as well. Ephraim, for instance, Ephraim has been a tracker and a guide in a combination thereof for many years, probably for Ephraim's case, probably 20 odd years. So he's seen a lot of things like this. And in a way, it's sort of just, I quite often feel like it as well. It's just that's how it goes. It's part of nature. It's part of the cycle of things. But nonetheless, when you look at something like this, it is saddening. I think it makes you feel that exactly what you're feeling now. I can't really explain it. I think a close-up look into that eye sums up all of those emotions in one. And again, I want to not discourage anyone from feeling sad about this, but without being cliched about it, these animals live a very wild and a very proud and a very competitive life. And I think even the cubs that are dead would have had a happier life living like this than they would have somewhere else where they could have grown to a ripe old age in a zoo. So part of the reality is part of our surroundings, and part of the experiences that we're going to have out here. Most of the time will make you feel so much better, some of them will make you feel a bit sad. But it's all part of this amazing space that we share, I guess. Not just look at. We don't just look at these things. We share it with everything else out here. It's part of the cycle of how that works. We're going to move on. We're going to try and look around. I guess we'll have another look here tomorrow or so, see what's happening here. We'll try and look around for the Mapogo males. I don't want to speak up for them because I can't. It would be a little bit like a prehistoric mouse saying, I'm going to speak up for the Tyrannosaurus rexes. They can speak well enough for themselves, but keep in mind that these are not horrible animals. They are just behaving the way that any strong dominant species or male lion would have. And they are stronger and more dominant than most lions can afford to be. So it is part of how it goes.